Alright, here in Austin, Texas at the Museum of the Weird. It's really loud down here and I forgot my microphone. So let's check it out. And here we have the world famous Siamese twins, Chang and Ing Bunker. They are from Thailand, but it was at that time, back in 1811, called Siam. But connected right there. And old Moses McGuire. This guy was a guy that traveled for 30 years as a sideshow with the Fiji mermaid. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Fiji mermaid, but it's a taxidermy type of a hoax of a head like this with a fish body. And it says here that McGuire toured with a Fiji mermaid for over 30 years before retiring from the sideshow business. So this guy was selling snake oil for a long time. And now we've reached the part of the tour where we have a notice to our visitors to please be respectful of the dead. We hope you are enjoying your tour of the museum so far. Up to this point, we have shared some of our gaffes, along with several of our real oddities with you. But beginning in this hallway, many of the exhibits you will see are actual human and animal remains. We ask that you proceed with the same respect that you would have in a cemetery or other sacred resting place. Thank you. Seems reasonable. Ah, the shrunken heads. I think that is a hoax, but I don't know for sure. Something you'll have to Google. And our mummy of Guanajuato. Skin's a little thin. And this is the mysterious sea devil. It says September 9th, 1900, a massive hurricane ripped through the island of Galveston, Texas, destroying almost everything in its path, killing 6,000 to 8,000 people. This is the largest natural disaster of the entire history of the United States. The storm brewed in from the Gulf of Mexico before making landfall. The storm brewed in the Gulf of Mexico before making landfall, picking up many unusual things and subsequently depositing these oddities on the sands of the surrounding beaches. And that looks a lot like a stingray. And a creepy fetus. Wet specimen. Hey, buddy. And the Patterson-Gimlin footage, probably the most famous Bigfoot picture. I've always wondered who took that picture, and as it turns out, on October 20th, 1967, ex-rodeo man Roger Peterson and his buddy Bob Gimlin were exploring the woods of Bluff Creek in Northern California on horseback, and then something started their horses, throwing the men to the ground. As they got to their feet, they saw a creature rise from the brush and walk away from them toward the woods. Thinking quickly, Patterson grabbed his movie camera, shot the 24 feet of 16mm color footage until the film ran out. What he captured that day has become the most scrutinized, controversial, and iconic evidence for the existence of Bigfoot ever found. During that same encounter, Patterson and Gimlin were able to pour several plaster casts of some of the tracks made by the beast in the mud. Presented here are 3 of those casts. Those toes are on point, I gotta say. Nice toes, Bigfoot. if there is such a thing. All of the Bigfoot. Joseph Carey Merrick, better known as the Elephant Man.
My name is Saul. You are...
My name is Joel.
Joel?
Nice to meet you.
Glad to know you, Joel.
Yes. And is this the inner sanctum that you talked about?
I'm sorry?
Meet? You said we'd meet in the inner sanctum for the tour?
No, we're going to go into the inner sanctum.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
My name is Saul. I am going to show you things, tell you stories that you don't get on the regular tour.
Great.
Did you have questions about anything that you've seen so far?
Not so far. I'm just looking at all the two-headed animals and wet specimens and
Well, and why
it's a
would
gremlin.
you?
Huh?
Why would you have questions?
Well, I don't know, because all of these little guys do a really good job of explaining things.
Well, I've been with the museum going on 10 years now, mostly behind the scenes.
Yeah.
They call me the Mojo Pen around here.
All right.
I make sure what our owner, Steve, displays in his museum is suitable for the public, right? We get young people here.
Sure.
And we get drinking people on occasion. And
sure.
you don't need anything that's going to follow you home. So far, we got a good track record.
Knock on wood. Yeah, absolutely.
My first project is in this corner. That is a real human skeleton. But Steve bought her at a citywide garage sale.
A citywide garage sale.
The
Wow.
guy who sold her found her just like you see, behind a hidden panel in the wall of an abandoned Oddfellows Lodge, where we believe that they used her in their rituals.
Wow.
And after the disturbances began, I get this call from Steve telling me he's got folks that aren't willing to close the store because they don't want to be alone in the building. So we gathered them together, tried to make some kind of connection, and stuff came up. Got the name Emily.
Emily?
Impressions of illness, loneliness.
Yeah.
It was intense.
Was there any way to tell the age of this woman?
Well, I'm sure that if we submitted her to carbon dating, that would be possible.
Mm-hmm.
The impressions that I got were consistent with the emotions of people at the extremes of life. Someone who was perhaps a teenager, or someone who was very elderly. It was filled with angst, sort of a feeling that nobody cared whether she lived or died. Now I did a few months ago have someone come in. He told me he was a doctor and he had expertise in forensics. And looking at this skeleton, it was obvious to him that it was about a 16-year-old girl. A little bit later, I had another person come in that told me that they were medically trained and an expert in forensics. And they said, looking at this body, it was obvious to them that it was a very elderly woman. So there is the scientific answer I have been given.
Right.
Pretty much the same one I had through my connection.
Yeah, yeah. I'd always heard there was like something with the pelvis that you could see and all of that to determine some of that.
It depends on whether or not she ever had children. If she had children, did she have them with a C-section? There's a lot of things like that. Carbon dating is probably the only thing, or whatever improvements they've had beyond that. But things have calmed down a lot. There's no more throwing things or hiding things. She will flicker the lights for some people. That means Emily's made a connection with you.
Well, Emily, I'm sure has a story to tell.
Well, time to take you into the inner sanctum. I'm going to collect your ticket at the top of the stairs.
All right.
Get ready, follow me up this way.
All right. Watch my step.
Thank you very much.
That's the one?
Wait for me on the other side of that trap door.
That trapdoor is what he's talking about. And I feel like I'm gonna get a jump scare here pretty soon. Maybe out of there. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
Well, this is the Quast building, Q-U-A-S-T. It has been here since 1872, making it one of the older buildings here in Austin. It has been all kinds of things in that time. They used to sell mules here. It's been a saloon. I think there were lawyers at one point. It's kind of spooky. We even have a famous pirate connected with this building, if you can imagine that.
Tell me about this pirate.
Many years before he became the world's most expensive pirate, Johnny Depp made a movie in the Austin area called What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Ah, very good
that
movie.
Was filmed in Manor and Lockhart. And Depp is a musician, wanted to be close to the music action in town, played with his band on 6th Street for a while before we had all the damn DJs.
I heard those when I was walking in.
While Johnny Depp was making movies and music here in Austin, he lived in that park.
Ah.
Isn't that fun?
That is fun.
That door led into his kitchen. But imagine, many years ago, Johnny Depp on the other side of that door, enjoying breakfast of whiskey and cigarettes. Yes.
Probably so, yeah.
Now, when I tell this story, I do have folks, when they get up there, want to reach through those bars and touch the door or rub something on it as they go by. I don't judge.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, I like Johnny Depp, okay, but not that much.
Well, what I'm going to share with you next is kind of a miracle. When our owner, Steve, was about 5 years old, his aunt took him to a fair where he saw a man frozen in the ice. That was the Iceman. It started his interest in collecting weird stuff.
Okay.
A few years ago, Frank Hansen, the man who traveled with the Iceman, passed away. His family found it in his warehouse, still frozen, still maintained, after it had vanished from public view for more than 30 years. They wanted nothing to do with it. So their agents put it up for sale, and that is when Steve found it again. So if Steve had not seen the Iceman as a boy, there would be no Museum of the Weird. And I could not share this historic exhibit with you today. You ready to see our little mirror?
I'm ready to see it.
All right. Please, no photos or videos. It's horrors. Take as many pictures as you like in there. Please do not touch the monsters, and they will not touch you.
All right.
This way.
Movie monster time.
Our
Nosferatu.
journey begins here with the world's first famous movie monster.
Yes.
From the 1922 German film Nosferatu, that is Count Orlok. He was played by a man named Max Schreck, kind of an unusual looking fellow.
Yeah.
And when you dig into the history, you find the people working with him thought he was genuinely weird and scary, which led to interesting ideas as to who or what he might have been. We just think of him as the world's first famous movie.
Yeah.
Through this door, we have our hallway dedicated to Ron King, man of 1,000 faces. Made more than 150 films in his career, including The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1923, Phantom of the Opera, 1925, and London After Midnight, 1927.
Yes.
Chaney created the art of monster movie makeup the way we think of it today. This man, and this man are the same man. That man, Lon Chaney, did it all himself. And here we have some of our classic monsters, including the godfathers of horror, Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, made the first Universal Studios classic monster movies. It all started here with Bela Lugosi as Dracula in 1931. He had played the role on stage for several years before that, and he was buried in his Dracula outfit in 1958.
Really?
That's how important that role was to him. And of course here we have Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster.
Mm-hmm.
Now at the time that Karloff played the role, it was before all the molding and casting techniques that we're used to today. Jack Pierce essentially sculpted that face onto Karloff day after day after day of filming using stage makeup and mortician's materials. They say that Lugosi and Karloff hated each other when they made several films together.
Little
Above us here is Frederick March in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll was the nice one. This is the other one. Mm-hmm. And March won an Academy Award for his portrayal in that film. First Oscar that ever went to a horror movie. And of course here is our life-size King Kong. You are welcome to have your picture with Kong if you like. Just don't mess with the head or you'll end up wearing it, which is not as much fun as it sounds.
No.
But if you'd like to snap a picture, I'd be happy to help you out with that.
Awesome.
Used actual human oddities to portray members of a freak show circus, not special effects. Prince Randy in here was a real person. He had no arms, no legs. He crawled around like a snake and could roll and light his own cigarettes using only his lips.
Wow.
Above your head there is Boris Karloff again as the mummy Imhotep. There we see him moments before he is accidentally resurrected to begin his murderous rampage of revenge. That scene is creepy as hell, even today.
The old ones are still creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the hall, we have the last classic Universal movie monster, 1954, Creature from the Black Lagoon. The man who swam in the suit, Brazilian diver Rico Browning, is also is still with us at 88 years of age.
It's one of my favorites.
Pictures of him at a Comic-Con recently, and he looks fantastic. He's in a wheelchair, but still looks great.
I had, when I was pretty young, they released this, it's in the mid to early 80s, re-released it. And you could get your 3D glasses at convenience stores.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you can watch it on TV, and that is how,
great.
Yeah, so I've always liked that one, and that's how I connected to it.
You bet. Next to him is from the 1955 film This Island Earth, featured in Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie.
Yes, yes.
The legs were originally supposed to be articulated like the arms, but they struggled with that, and then they ran out of time and money, and then they said, you know what, silver pants, that'll do.
That'll work.
That's how you get on MST3K. And I don't normally show this to people, but you seem like you might appreciate it. So this is me. This is our owner, Steve.
Okay.
In the center is Trace Beaulieu, who played Dr. Clayton Forrester on MST3K for all those years.
Wow.
He and Frank Conniff came into the museum. They were in town for an event, and Trace took the tour. And he insisted we must have a picture in front of the Metaluna Mutant. So that was a special moment for me. I'm an admirer of their work. Above your head there is Lon Chaney Jr.
There's Lon. Wolfman.
Following in his father's footsteps as a horror icon. Of course, his most famous role, the Wolfman, which he played in several movies. And finally, we have our masters of horror. On the left is Vincent Price in the 1953 film House of Wax. Next to
Awesome.
him is Christopher Lee in Hammer's Curse of Frankenstein, 1957. Christopher Lee and Vincent Price shared a birthday on May 27th, and Peter Cushing's birthday is the day before.
Oh, really?
They were all fast friends and would celebrate each other's birthdays together whenever they could. One likes to think they are doing so again.
I'm sure they are.
Well, I'm going to need a moment to secure the room so none of these guys get out.
Okay.
If you'll just wait for me under the shelter there next to the zombie lady, I'll be with you momentarily.
All right. I want them to come out. I don't want him to secure them. Hey, there you are again.
Would you like to see inside?
Sure. Love to. Do you have a key?
This is no longer a kitchen. It's been renovated to what I like to call the Johnny Depp Memorial Theater. Make yourself comfortable here.
Okay.
I told Steve if I was going to come out from behind the scenes and spend time with actual people that I wanted to make connections. Right? You're different than them. Everyone that comes in here is more open.
Yeah.
More curious,
Uh-huh.
right? Connections make an enormous difference to what I can do. So let's play a game.
All right.
Let's see if we can get a message for you. Which cards will we use? The red or the green?
I like red, but the green ones are definitely calling my name.
All right. So I'm sorry. Say your name again, please.
Jolt.
Joel. So this is not a card trick, Joel. I don't want you to pick a random card. I want you to find your card, the one that feels right for your greatest good, and dig for it if you need to. Which card feels like your card? What you got there? Right. The Nine of Cups. Cups is connected with the element of water. Water is about flow. About going with the flow. Water takes the shape of what it's in. You pour it into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You pour it into a teacup, it becomes the teacup. Water is about dealing with things as they are, not as they are supposed to be, allowing ourselves to be reshaped by circumstances. Now here, we see a gentleman in front of a collection of beautiful golden goblets. He seems very pleased with them. Is this the finest collection of golden goblets in all the world? Who cares? They are his, and he is proud of him, and he should be proud of him. I feel like right now it is very important for you to take stock of what you have, of the treasures that you have accumulated. I feel like there's been a little woulda, coulda, shoulda going on for you.
Okay.
You know, what
Always,
if I gone
yeah.
this way instead of that way?
Mm-hmm.
Would you, Joel, be willing to trade all the treasure between that moment and this to go back and correct that one little thing? Remember, up for grabs may be your wife, your kids, your career, everything that happened since that moment. All gone or unrecognizable.
Yeah. Well, there's two schools of thought on that. If I were to go back, I wouldn't have knowledge of what was ahead of me.
Oh, sure, but the idea is that
And
you could go
then,
back and
if it would be at risk of the things that I hold dear, I would not.
Of course not. Of course not. And yet we dwell on it. We go, you know, what if? What if I'd made that little switch? Mm-hmm. This is a card of gratitude. This is a card of appreciation. It's also a card of power. You have with you wonderful allies, wonderful capabilities, wonderful, wonderful things that have come to you over all this time. Now, is it the greatest collection of everything that you could possibly have? Who cares? It's yours. It's yours. And no matter what's going on up the street or no matter what's going on upstairs, it doesn't matter. These things are yours, and the gratitude and the capability that is there within is something that no one can take away from.
Just like this man's cups.
Right.
Yeah.
So if
like
right
that.
now you're in a mode where you're kind of wishing that things could be a little different, try to let go of that. Things will become different, right? The water is always flowing, it's always moving, the shape is always shifting. But it doesn't have to be anything particular. You don't have to make it be a particular thing. Enjoy the ride.
I'm enjoying it.
Does that make sense to you?
It makes total sense, yeah. I'm in a building mode, so what's in my cups is going to change. But, you know, I am... Yeah, it's a good message to be happy with what you have.
Sometimes you get the most wonderful surprises in your cup.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I've traveled, when someone says, try this, I try it.
Right.
I have other people that says, try this, and they go, what's in it?
Yeah. What's the coolest thing you've gotten in your cup lately?
Oh, my goodness. Well, actually, I'm still recovering from it because it was a lot of work. But a very dear friend of mine, Ed Solomon, who was a mentor and a friend and just an amazing person, who had a wonderful way of connecting with people and what was important to them and appreciating it at the same level they did, and making them know that he was someone who understood it and appreciated it just as much as they did.
Yeah.
Except later when he passed away, I discovered that all the people that had this feeling felt that way about completely different things. Mm. He was a dear person, and he was a performer, a writer, and I had the opportunity at an event in San Antonio to produce a show in his honor.
Oh, that's wonderful.
His sons came, one all the way from Alaska to see it. They were moved by it. Friends of his came to perform from the East Coast and all kinds of places. We built a theater in a hotel room, one of their big rooms. Not exactly a ballroom, but I guess that's what they call it, salon. And we achieved all the goals that we had to honor him, to demonstrate the higher quality of the art that he enjoyed, and to get people genuinely interested and curious about what could be done there. And I've been working on that for about 8 months.
Yeah, that hits on a lot of levels.
It's done.
Yeah.
And I'm today I think I finally got sort of caught up on my sleep.
No,
From the last week of work on this.
Of finishing that out. Well, those labors of love take a lot out of you, but man, they're so rewarding.
Well, but you get love back.
Yeah.
It comes back to you threefold.
Right, they're so rewarding. That's what I was saying, yeah. But that's awesome.
Well, Joel, I wish we had more time. I feel like I could go way down the rabbit hole with you.
Absolutely.
You're a lot better than when I usually get on 6th Street.
Hey, well,
But it's time for me to leach back into...
All right, well, that was the Museum of the Weird. I think I'm going to go over here and get some pizza now. Bye.